Hello everyone. Welcome to our Thursdays with NoMAA. Before we begin tonight, it's my pleasure to introduce our Stroll coordinator, who, as always, has a couple of special statements to share with us tonight. Martin.
Thank you, Neria. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on yet another edition of Thursdays with NoMAA tonight with Uptown Art Stroll poster contest winner Marta Blair. We want to acknowledge the 2021 Uptown Art Stroll honorees. They were and are the Association of Dominican Classical Artists, Eric K. Washington, Elizabeth Starchevich, the 2020 Dyckman Muralist Collective, and Warner Brothers Pictures in the Heights. Please visit our website, nomanyc.org, and very soon we will have on our website a video tribute to all of our 2021 Uptown Arts Stroll honorees. Before we get to our featured artist of the evening, Marta Blair, we want to thank tonight's sponsor, that is Dyckman Express, who for over 25 years at 101 Dyckman Street, the northwest corner of Nagle Avenue, served Dominican-American cuisine at its finest, indoors, outdoors dining, delivery 7 days a week until 11 p.m. Order at Seamless, DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, and Postmates. Dyckman Express is the Moranta family's flagship, but they have two more Dyckman Street businesses between Post and Nagle Avenue at 809 Restaurant at 112 Dyckman Street. 809 Restaurant is 15 years old and is currently remodeling, but they are available for catering and special events at this time. And their newest location, which is at 113 Dyckman Street, Senor Bigote. If you're looking for a fresh cut, head over to their location, which opened just last week. Our thanks to Dyckman Express, sponsoring Thursday with NoMAA, and this year's Uptown Art Stroll poster contest winner, Marta Blair. Area, back to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Martin, and thank you to Dyckman Express for your support, to our extraordinary honoree. It has been our honor to have you honored this year. Good evening again to all of you. It is wonderful to see you here again tonight. My name is Neria Leyva Gutierrez, and I am the Executive Director of the Northern Manhattan Arts Alliance. Once again, thank you for being here, for supporting us, and for helping us honor and celebrate our incredible artists. Last night, we closed the 2021 Uptown Art Stroll with a collaborative event at our United Palace. Many of you watched the Moth virtual main stage at home or in your offices. It was a beautiful event. Hosted by CJ Hunt, we had 5 amazing storytellers, including Lin-Manuel Miranda, Kiara Alegría Judy, Junior Estra Santana, and of course, our own Led Black, who took the stage sharing what home meant to them. Talent, community, and unbridled love for Washington Heights was on view last night, and it was, in fact, the perfect way to end what has been an extraordinary stroll. Thank you to the Moth, to our many partners this summer, including the College and Dyckman Express, to our other sponsors, Warner Brothers, Spectrum Telemundo, West Harlem Development Corporation, Con Ed, DCLA, Councilman Zena Rodriguez, HBO United Way, New York Presbyterian, and Google. We have so much to be thankful for. To our extraordinary honorees, thanks to our local businesses for their support, and most of all, thanks to all of you for giving us the love this year and every year. And if we could take another look at our beautiful, striking poster. Let's see if we can bring that up. I know, here, let's see. All right, let's up in a second. I know you've seen this poster. It has been with us for this entire month, the extraordinary, striking image by Marta Blair. So wonderfully captioned, Martin has it there, wonderfully captured all that is the Uptown Stroll. And the artist behind this image, there it is in all of its splendor, is here with us tonight, and I am thrilled to get to introduce her. Born in Medellin-Colombia, Marta moved to New York City in 1997. A mother of 2, she has been part of the Washington Heights Inwood community for the last decade. She earned her BFA in Fine Arts from the National University of Colombia, as well as a BFA in Graphic Design. She has also studied at the Art Students League and at the School of Visual Arts. She has worked in textile design for over 15 years and a designer in New York City, including for Kid Size Studio and Martha Stewart, among others. All the while, Marta continued her painting practice. In 2015, she became a member of Cornerstone Studios, and in 2018, she began exhibiting her work in New York and in New Jersey, including her very first solo show in January of 2020 at the Smush Gallery in Jersey. She has also participated in numerous group exhibitions in New York, and she received a commission for her very first public art installation in the summer of 2019 for a large-scale paracord weaving on a chain fence for Exchange Place Alliance in Jersey City. Recently, she added teaching artists to her CV, working at the Bronx River Arts Center. She describes her process as one of observation, where she traces her surroundings in the presence of time, light, or fleeting memories. Indeed, her work often combines the transformative process of addition, deletion, change, and erasure. Time and materials linger together, mimicking the rhythms of real life in all of its complexity, intentionality, and inevitable unpredictability. Just this past spring, Marta was selected by the Bronx River Arts Center to lead their Cultural Immigrant Initiative program, which involved offering 3 mixed media workshops and creating 3 extraordinary culminating public installations. Perhaps you've seen these vibrant, ephemeral floor tape murals, which I know she'll talk a little bit about tonight. I'm so excited to hear about this project and many others tonight from Marta. And so it is with pleasure that I introduce her to you tonight, Marta Blair.
Amazing! I couldn't have done it better. The whole pack. Thank you so much for putting that together. So nice, Miria, and thank you, NoMAA, for opening up this little space for me. That's great. So welcome everyone, and enjoy the next hour.
Okay, we're going to wait a minute as a video.
Yeah, I guess Michelle is running the video, right?
Yes, she is. Here we go. Oh, we're having a little bit of tech issues. Oh, here we go.
And thank you, NoMAA, for the opportunity to present myself and my work. So I'm going to go over my website quickly and kind of have an overview of whatever I'm doing at the moment. So let's start. So this is a little animation that I have at the beginning of my website, just to give a little feeling of my painting work. There's some close-ups and some details, but you can have a feeling of the type of work I do. It's a lot of liquid media, ink, watercolors, liquid acrylics, fluid acrylics, and all these kind of soft combination of materials. I guess that is like a key element of my painting. These are some work from 2020, 21, mostly 21, and a little bit like the end of 2019. 2020 was just crazy for me. So my productivity went down to the bottom. So I'm just scrolling down to here to show you a little bit of this process. This over here is my older work. I used to work a lot in these long, unstretched pieces of canvas, like really loose, a lot of kind of textile finish, like a lot of fabric on them, a lot of paper and cords and wood, and a combination of materials that is also that is also very particular of my painting work. I recycle a lot of fabrics and old pieces of clothes. And so this is just very quickly my painting tab. These are some work that I did on wood, on pieces of wood. This is like an ongoing, I like this. I was collecting these from a hardware store. They saved little pieces of wood for me. And then I just was kind of working, you know, ongoing on these little pieces. So a lot of them are gone, but I like the idea of just keep adding and changing. This is my studio wall at the moment. This is my work in 2020. I guess in the quarantine, it was really hard to focus and concentrate. And I started out this piece out of nowhere. This pretty much started like this. So I've been collecting these food containers for a long time, and without having any idea what to do, I started out just taping them in the wall of my studio. Suddenly, I really like the spaces, the white spaces in between. I'm always fascinated with the space in between things, like that emptiness, that hole, you know, and so that became like the source of the painting inside. I started pretty much like recreating the spaces inside with the paint. That is kind of like spreading, it's spreading towards the sides. This is my mini studio that I adore. It's just that corner, the little wall and a closet. It's a very little studio. I've been part of Cornerstone since the very beginning, since the very first group. I'm really lucky to be there and being part of this group. So these are some close-ups of that work. From this, I really like that it's just tape, so it's totally removable. And I guess in some point, I just take out the whole thing, pack it, and place it back in a different layout, or it has that lightness of being removable and kind of change, you know, the possibility of, you know, the change is always there. So that is that. So that's been pretty much the whole year, like 2020, very entertaining and really slow. And yeah, I'm happy with that. It's just so different of whatever I did in the past. This project I want to show you because it was so meaningful to me. This was kind of my first public approach to the art outside, and it was really nice, almost by also like a nice accident. Somebody saw my painting and in a little show in a cafe and suggest me to apply for this Exchange Place Alliance that happens in Jersey City waterfront. So I didn't know exactly how to translate painting into this, but it was a very special moment. And I came up with this idea to do embroidery in the fence, kind of debating, you know, what is to be in one side or the other one, like the boundaries, how the boundaries divide, but not quite. And so I developed all this, and it was really incredible how meaningful it turned out to be, the whole process. And even though, you know, it was exactly the same material and exactly the same location, same everything, every time I do one of the circles, it was different. Like some days I did the weaving over a month, but some days, you know, you go and do the same knot and it's so fluent and perfectly even and so nice. Some other days it just didn't go through, like the knots, the tension was weird, and then the whole thing was just so different. And I found that really amazing because it's pretty much like our life, you know, like exactly, you know, some days are great and some others are just like don't move. And So it turned out to be really beautiful, you know, the way the circles interact with each other, the way they overlap, you know, same thing. Sometimes it managed to kind of flow really well, and some other time it was just like this tension. And so it has that, it has all that feeling. My mother passed away in the middle of this project and in Colombia. And that was also like adding a lot of significance. I pretty much finished and went, and it was really beautiful. So it's really charged with a lot of emotions. So that was it. These are like these. This is still up, it's still there. The colors have faded away a little bit, but still holding up really nice. And this is my recent work. With the pandemic, I became involved in art education, which is great. I think my 8 minutes are over, so I'm gonna go quickly over this last part. So this has been my work for the last 2-3 months. I became involved with Bronx River Art Center, and they offered me this project of the Cultural Immigrant Initiative, which I proposed these tape public installations. So we did 4. They are all in District 15 in the Bronx, around District 15 up there. And it was really amazing to interact with the community and to develop these, I call them murals. The only really mural is this in a wall. The rest are in the floor. So I still don't have a quite good word to name that, because it's not a mural, but it's not a sidewalk precisely. And so it's more like a rug, a horizontal surface. I really like that this was done with the community. So I didn't have the 100% control of what happened, but you know, I kind of guide the whole activity, and each of them was done in a day. So this was the last one, but came out so nice and it was gorgeous. This was in the Morris Hill area, and the community is really, really amazing there. So a lot of kids from Yemen and from Dominican Republic and Italy, and it was like this beautiful mix. So you can see here the kids helping and doing the whole thing. If you look really close, you can see the kids' hands there, which is great. So that was that. And that's it. I have a few little things here, but I'm just not gonna go over each of my tabs in the website, but that just, you know, for you to get a feeling of the work I'm doing at the moment. And feel free to browse a little more. It's martablair.com, and yeah, a lot of mini tabs with more stuff there, but let me know if you have any questions. And thank you so much. The buzzer at the end.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing so much. There's so much I want to talk to you about. And as I'm looking at the floor art, I was also reminded of the color of the poster that you created for the Stroll. I want to start there, because of course, you know, it really was sort of the defining image for the last month. You know, it's appeared everywhere, and it's and I received so many comments about this poster. I mean, just people are in love with the image, and for good reason. How did you arrive at this image? What were you thinking, or what sort of, tell me a little bit about the process, how you came to this beautiful image.
Thank you. It was amazing. It's been great to see the whole, you know, the whole impact, which I never imagined, you know. I pretty much started with the Nina Simone theme, right, that you guys have for the poster. So it was kind of a resemblance of hair, but not quite herself. So it was more like a nod to women in general, to women in, in New York, to women uptown, to Black women, to Latino women. So it was more like that combination. And now you can see there's a little bit of that ovals from my previous projects, which I keep drawing, and they kind of continue appearing here and there. And that was it, it was just so nice. It kind of happened really easy. And of course, like, posters are different from art, they need to kind of communicate a different message. And so there was that need too, to be direct and the colors really strong. And that was it, that, came out in one night, and I was so happy with it.
Yeah, well, we were so happy with it too. It's really interesting. Liz sort of picked up on a few things I was thinking of as well. But I'm gonna have Liz talk a little bit about some of the things that she sort of sees in this image in your work. Liz, welcome. Hi. Is she unmuted? Let's see. Oh.
Thank you. I also, it's good, there was a little delay because I had to turn off my fan, which is very loud, but takes less energy than an air conditioner. So I love that you've got this common theme of the circles, and they show up in her earrings and the fabric on the cloth in the, I have very poor vision without my glasses. And when I take my glasses off, lights look kind of like what those circles look like. They kind of, like that. And so, yeah, that's what lights look like when you have very poor vision. And I just love the recurring image and the different ways that you incorporate that similar thing through your work. It's very sweet.
Thank you. Yeah, somebody mentioned like they look a little bit like fireworks. So I guess it's a little bit related with what you say, like the lights kind of sparkle out.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too, sort of the interplay, because in your latest work, this really beautiful community project, there's those really linear aspects as well, the kind of geometric aspects that that you have. A little bit about how you received that commission, what those workshops were like, how you worked with the community, and who was participating, and how did they come to participate. It's really, I've been following it along on your Instagram, and it's just been so amazing to see it emerge, over time. It's such a beautiful project. Tell us a little bit about the origin of the project, and then sort of everything along the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a little bit of a surprise for me too. It's been a great process. It pretty much started out 3 months ago. BRAC is the organization that I am teaching for, and they needed a proposal for a public community involved project, and at the same time some teaching along with that. So they reached out to a small group of people, and I made this proposal with tape, which I never really worked before with that, but it will be, I had originally like have some tape on my end. I was kind of playing around, but, kind of developing that idea a little more. I say like, this will be great for a community project. It's really a quick material. You can kind of accomplish a big area in a short period of time. It's way faster than painting. And the colors are fantastic. The amount of tape is unbelievable. You can, over here, there are like so many. It was so difficult to really like come up with the one, because like the choices are incredible. And so that was it. We did there are actually 3 murals. The first one was more like a trial, so that makes a little out of the project, the one with the florals. But the other 3 were part of the Cultural Immigrant Initiative, along with a workshop. So we did like a 2-hour workshop, and then the following Saturday we did the mural in the street. So it's a little bit connected, you know, they touch immigrant issues, but I didn't want to take it, you know, from the difficulties, from the hard part. I kind of approach it through the connections, the emotional connections that the immigrants, we are all immigrants, with myself, you know, and like, so I kind of took it from, you know, the connection that we get through animals, to flowers, to memories of textiles. How do we bring, you know, a special piece of cloth from our country, from our grandmother? So I kind of took the whole project from that. And so 3 of them came out, one in flora and fauna of different countries. So I kind of play a little bit with the community of the area. And then one in flora and fauna, one in mythical animals, that was that big serpent, the Quetzalcoatl, and the last one that is a mixture of textiles. So that was like the overview of the whole thing. And the community part is just fantastic. Like, I never really had that experience. And, you know, it was different, the 3 of them, but so we pretty much did I pretty much did a quick layout, but you don't quite control 100% of what's gonna look like. So it's a little bit of a surprise at the end, what's gonna be the finished product. And the kids helping is just great because they add little things, and obviously you don't have any idea what's gonna happen, but the whole mixture of hands is really beautiful. So yeah, it's been great.
It's wonderful. I think the Quetzalcoatl was really striking to me. You know, seeing that sort of slithering along. How long will that last? Of
Not
how
much.
durable?
Yeah, no, that one was really hard. You know, it was 92 degrees that day, and I guess not everybody, I didn't have quite a lot of people, you know, compared with the other ones. So that was really, really intense, you know, my back, and you're pretty much like squatting, kneeling the whole day. So it's really intense. They don't last, you know, they could last a while, but it's better to remove them before they get damaged completely, you know. Some of them are in a really heavy traffic area, so the tape kind of gets dirty, and then the little pieces start peeling off. And it's been really new to me how the weather affects the whole thing. So it's, I guess it's an ongoing thing that I have to keep, you know, polishing, because depending, like if it's too sunny, you know, we're removing some part of the cement and it was a little sticky, a little sticky line. And so they're kind of ephemeral. You cannot leave them there for a long, long time. So we remove them after 3 weeks.
It's an interesting concept too, you know, to have working on something that you know, really requires so much focus and attention. You know, and to know, of course, that process, you know, will not disappear, but it's fleeting, right? There's something, you know, and I think for children, that's always such an interesting lesson also to teach, you know, sort of about the process, and it's about the community that comes with the process, and it's about you know, the beauty that you sort of just take in, that you store in your memory, right? Because you know, that's something that just you can document it, and that will exist in sort of the documentation of the process. But you know, it's nice sometimes. I think especially in just to have something just stored in your memory. It's just that's where you retrieve it, and it's not anywhere else. Really. And so that's a really nice even a concept. How young were the kids? Were they all you know, of a particular age, or did they range?
No, it was no, everybody was welcome. So sometimes, you know, they don't stay for the whole day, so that's kind of nice too. They come and go. So they come, pass with their mom, kind of put a little thing, make a little segment, and leave. So some of these kids, they're big enough, you know, to kind of focus and do quite a big accomplishment part. But there were some other just little tiny kids, like 2 or, you know, even 2 years old, 3 years old, just put in these little pieces of tape. So we cut them for them and they just place them wherever they want. And it's just really beautiful. So some of them stay a little longer, but mostly, you know, they come and go. So the whole project circulates over the day. Really nice.
And that seems to be a theme, you know. I was listening to you talk about the wall in your studio, you know, this idea of it changing, being able to sort of take it off and start over and put pieces in, sort of constant transformation of space and time that you seem to be so interested in. Did this project start like in a little tiny part, or did you have an overall conception, or did you just slowly start, you know, doing this?
Which one? The one with the cardboard?
Yeah, the wall in your studio. I mean, it's so fantastic. Yeah, containers.
Yes. Yeah, no, that was the funniest process, because the pandemic was really strong for me. Like the whole beginning of the year was really like a really intense moment of like a limbo. Like I couldn't really think or produce, or like it was really, really long and deep. And so I had the cardboards, you know, in a bag for a long time. And I just out of no intention, just start taping them. And that was it. You know, I think it's just so amazing how these things really happen naturally without intention. I really like that in art. I guess, you know, like the art that I really feel totally like connected to is like a little bit outside the art, when there is no really academic or intention or pretension to get to some point. It's more like your need to just do something. So I really love that part, which is a little bit like also the ephemeral thing, you know, the project, just do it and change it. Or I don't know, in a way, it's like not making, you know, more products and more things in the world. Like I guess we kind of need less and less. Right. So I don't know. That was a little bit of that concept.
That reminds me, you talk about sort of a non-academic approach. So who are, I mean, if you think about your background in, you know, graphic design and textile and in painting and fine arts. So who are some of your influences, or what are some of who are some of the artists or that have inspired you along the way, or that you feel drawn to, or
so many.
I know.
It's so many, but I don't know. I think if I have to think about something specifically, I just feel more inspiration in things that are not art per se. I just love, you know, details in nature or little microscopic images in the surroundings, or even, you know, work from people, you know, in the villages or weavers in Colombia, in the north, or in India, pieces of textiles. Like how I found that way more vibrant and communicating to me more stuff. You know, textiles in general, I always find this love for little pieces of embroideries and details. So I guess I have a really deep connection with all that is just natural, you know, artisans, and more than artists. Of course, I have many artists that I adore, you know, but if I need to kind of like go for connection, I really find more inspiring things just in nature.
In nature. And you have a very long history of the textile industry. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, that seems to be where you started, right? Your sort of your career.
That was a little bit of luck. And circumstances, because I didn't study textiles. I just did fine arts and graphic design back in Colombia for like 10 years of university. And then I came to New York. I ended up being involved with textiles with my first job through a Colombian friend that I really love. And she had this textile company, and I started working with her and then that happens for over 10 years. And it was a very, very small business, but I learned a lot of textiles. And then I did my first trips to India and Nepal and Thailand through that job. And through her knowledge, kind of like, you know, that was just an accident in life that kind of did root you to that way or expand your possibilities. And it was amazing. I guess it was a big part of my life, like that contact with India and all this, you know, textile life is so incredible. I guess it's so present in my painting too.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, it was going to say, really, there's so many references in your paper, in your paintings and in your work, and not just, you know, also, I think there's so much texture in your work, just sort of in general, even the poster, you know, it feels, you really can feel almost the textiles, you know, as well, right? In addition to the designs and some of the patterns. I think Regina had a question for you. Regina, did you want to ask?
Sure.
Hi, Regina.
Thank you. Before I ask my question, I just want to say that Marta Blair was the September-October artist at the Goldwing a few years back.
Yes.
And I selected her because during September and October, we have our Jewish high holidays. And her paintings were just a swirl of finding new ways of being, which is what the high holidays want of us. But I was wondering with and I thank you for sharing your art, Marta.
Thank you, thank you.
I was wondering that those walls that you have in your studio that are now completely filled, what happens when you need more space? What will be taking?
I know. This has been it's been just a slow process of filling out that. It's almost full because my studio is pretty much what you see there. You've been in my studio that is just a mini corner and a window. I kind of like that they're just tape. And one of the reasons that I'm kind of happy with this project is because I can just break it down in any minute and kind of pack it up. And the moment I put it back on, it's gonna look completely different. So let's see, you know, I only have like one more little wall to go, and this is still empty in some of the areas. So it's been great. It's been like a little meditation to kind of fill out these areas slowly. And I guess in the moment that I just take it, I just put it back on in a different location or something, or just, you know, I don't know, maybe give it away in pieces. I don't know. It's gonna be different anyway. It will be so hard to replicate exactly like the way it is right now. But it has that, you know, like a little bit like the Tibetan mandalas that you do it like so carefully and like sweep it away. So let's see what happens.
That's great. I love that concept. I think Elizabeth Starcher, you had I think you had a comment. Do you want to share?
Hola, Marta. I'm so happy to see you. I shared a studio near Marta for a while in Bennett, and it was always so interesting to see the things that first I saw you at the point when you were doing everything on cloth. And that was interesting. And it's also interesting for me to, you know, as a weaver, to hear you talk so much about textile and the importance of textile. And I remember when I came to your studio and you had found those parachute cords.
Oh.
And that was so I thought, oh, what a great idea. This is just wonderful, you know. So I love your work, and I love your things, and I'm so happy to see them. And of course the everybody's praising the poster and I'm praising the poster too. I just think brava.
Thank you.
Felicidades.
Thank you, Elizabeth. No, it was great to have you there, and I always enjoy seeing you around and know what you're doing and all that. It was great.
It sounds like, what are you, it's interesting because you're in your career, I mean, you've had so much breadth, you've worked in the textiles and you've done your public art and you've done, now you're working with children. And that seems to be, art education is to be something that's new so how did that come to be of sort of this next phase for you? Are you going to do more projects like this or what are those plans?
It's so funny that you mentioned that because it's been a big shift. It's been a big shift in my time in New York. Like I've been here for 24 years almost. And I guess I've been living literally out of textile design for so long, for 20 years, for 22 years. But one of the gifts of the pandemic, I think I call it a gift because it was that, reassurance that it's okay. I've been working independently for 12 years since my younger daughter was born, and but still doing textiles. And with the pandemic, this crisis was like, something, I don't feel like doing textile design as much. And that was a little bit of a grieving process. Like, I just want to do my art and nothing else. The textile is there, but I've been doing it for like 22 years. That, the art projects are also there. They always been there, but I really want to put my 100% attention to that. So I guess, that was a little gift, like to know, like, it's okay, it's okay to stop for a while and kind of, it's not that I already have all my love for textiles, and I think that's very present. It's just like the everyday doing. So the teaching moment was amazing. I happened to be connected with this organization just before the pandemic. I went for one in-person class and boom, everything was closed. But they managed to keep running online, and I teach online the whole year. And it's been unbelievable, like so great. I couldn't even imagine, like, online you get this connection and you get, it was a challenge, like technically, and of course, like teaching art has a lot of difficulties in a way, with materials, with resources, but it was so amazing. It's been great. So now I'm so happy to be able to really do it in person, and the interaction with the kids is been kids and adults, because I have like kids and adults in the same class, and it's been really nice. So I'm really enjoying that new part.
It's so interesting. I think, it's been a funny thing. I think we all just were trying to get through, right? 2020 and get through it, and just kind of survive and just just plow through. And it's just now, I think just now, where we're all sort of coming up for air a little bit, that we're starting to realize, taking inventory of what that year meant, what shifts happened within, how are we connecting differently, what things are important to us, are we going to take our lives in different directions? But I think it wasn't something that we could have ever done while we were going through it. It's just now where I think people are, as they're emerging, to think about these things. It's so fascinating. Aurelio made a really interesting point. He said that your art in your studio looks like a beautiful chapel. I love that idea, because you talk about how, like, it's sort of this meditative process. Even the idea of taking off and putting something in, it's almost like votives, like a candle, and the chapel is so interactive in that way, or can be so interactive. So it's kind of sort of observation, I think, to make. But it seems also to be something that is threaded throughout all of your work, or even sort of explicitly, this idea of of giving and taking and changing and transforming, and that process. which I think you almost have to do in community, right? I mean, it becomes something that, it's you're giving. I mean, it's part of sort of the process of what you're doing. And it almost seems like education is the natural extension of that, right? That
I think so. And I guess it's very, I would say it's like a horizontal transaction there, because it's, you give, but you receive like a lot. So I really, I really feel that is, the teaching is really like learning a lot from everybody.
Absolutely.
So, and that is fantastic. That is the best. And, these projects with the last project that was in the Morris Hill area, I pretty much discovered this new Yemenis community, which I had no idea that existed over there. And it was unbelievable, because we reached out to, we met these families in the park from Yemen, of course, women were really covered and really neutral, the way they're really neutral. And we approached them with, the idea, and then the next day they came to help, participating the whole day. At the end of the day, we were all hugging each other, and like it was like unbelievable. The neighborhood is amazing. They have all these fantastic bakeries and pastries from Yemen, and unbelievable. So that was, I really love, I kind of get to know the Bronx a little deeper, and trying out different bus routes and different train rides, and kind of like expanding the territory a little more. That was so great. I love it. It's just so alive and so fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we all have that, that hunger and that thirst now to just, even just our own homes again, like, just our own surroundings again. And I think it's such a opportune almost sort of moment for you. It's so wonderful to listen to all of your work and your work in the community, and how these projects unfolded. We have a little tradition here and Thursday nights with NoMAA, and that is that we close out our event with fire questions. So the way I will ask you just a series of questions. They're simple questions, or they can be complex depending, and you just answer them off the cuff, whatever sort of comes to mind. So
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
I'm so curious about this because, I see your background there and all the beautiful flowers and all these other things. I'm very curious, what is on your nightstand?
Oh, if that is a reading related question, for now, Tiger Balm, muscle rope creams, like I've been, the physical aspect of the last work has been tremendously intense. So I always have all this.
Yeah, you didn't mention that you're also a yoga instructor.
I do.
Yes.
I do. I never taught yoga. I did the course more for myself, to really learn it in a deeper level. I've been doing yoga for 20 years. I do it all the time. It's just a big part of my life.
It's come in handy with the kind of arduous work that you're doing. Very physical.
Yeah. No, everything. I didn't know, but I have done without it. So that is great. So I have my yoga books and my journals and my New Yorkers.
That's great. All right, what do you consider your greatest achievement? That's a heavy question.
My greatest achievement.
Yeah.
I will say maybe just be healthy at this age and be, have my kids, and being in this moment is just so great. I think it's just great to reach to this point and have, have my art going, have my space and my safety. And I just feel so thankful with, my living situation, my apartment. Like, so I guess that's, more than professional achievements, because that kind of comes and goes, but like being healthy, and I think that's a big thing to me.
Yeah, gratitude is a very powerful feeling, right? Um, if you were having and this is, I always call this the Liz Ritter question, but if you were having a dinner party and you had a dinner party, you were having a dinner party and you had to 3 guests. They could be alive, they could have passed already, real or fictional. Who would they be? What's on the menu?
In the menu, definitely like Indian food. I could have it breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The guests, I don't know. I don't know. I feel I would love like village, like people from the village, indigenous communities. I just think a lot, like in Colombia, like the situation in Colombia at the moment that is so sad, like all these missing people. I would probably be petrified to have a dinner with celebrities or, so I prefer just to have, dinner with friends or with just.
That's so interesting. I think that's the first time you've had that answer, but that concept of maybe people you don't know yet showing up to your dinner party, right? That you've never met before and that, you just invite over, right? Maybe you've worked with them during the day or they've been involved in your community project and maybe they end up coming to dinner.
I would love that. My students, the kids at the class, the kids in the street, I will be the happiest.
Well, it sounds like you need a buffet, not a dinner party. I think you can do catering hall and just a lot of space for a lot of people. That's what it sounds like.
Right.
All right, so this here's a final question, and I'm very, I think you've touched upon so many of these throughout the evening, but you had to sort of distill it in a motto. What would that be? What would your words to live by be, or your motto?
I think it's just the way we look. That will be, the way we look at things, like change our perception. That's pretty much what guides me all the time, like the way we look at things. Or, I insisted a lot in that with my students and the way I teach the classes and, how we discover amazing things, inside of an onion, or when we look at closely of a leaf, or like, I guess, I don't know, I really love to kind of focus on these little things because they can teach us a lot. So I guess that will be my motto, if I could call it like that.
Yeah, observation. Right? It's really, looking closely and thinking about what you see.
A little bit, yes, like a listening carefully, no? Like,
yeah, right. It's just not just, I used to, when I taught, I used to always say, how many times, you go by a building or you go by something and you'll turn to someone and say, oh, is that new? And someone will say, no, it's been there since, 1820. How many times you go about our day and the world is around us and yet we didn't, and so, yeah, it's a very, very powerful thing to just look closely and just spend time and to record your observations and about what they mean. And that's a really wonderful, I think that's a wonderful motto to live by. This was so fantastic. I really have enjoyed listening to you and watching your work. I'm really hoping, I would love to see more of that community project elsewhere, maybe in Washington Heights and maybe in Inwood with some of the schools. I mean, I think something like that is really,
I love it, yeah.
To just sort of replicate that sort of throughout the city, I think would be such a beautiful project to think about.
Yes, I would love that.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Of course, thank you. Thank you all for listening, for logging in, and for sharing my work and hearing to my stories. And thank you, NoMAA, for the wonderful space.
It was our pleasure to have you, and it's always such a pleasure to see friends here again with us on Thursday nights. We love seeing you all. We love sharing with you, and I feel like we all learned so much about one another and about ourselves, really. During these so I'm very grateful for that. So thanks to all of you. And before we sign off tonight, I want to bring Martin back with us tonight, who I think has a few closing announcements. Martin, are you ready?
Yes, Neria, we want to again congratulate our 2021 honorees, the Association of Dominican Classical Artists, Eric K. Washington, Elizabeth Starchevich, 2020 Dyckman Muralist Collective, and Warner Brothers Pictures In the Heights, coming soon, a video tribute to acknowledge our 2021 honorees on our website, nomanyc.org. Tomorrow and this weekend is a great opportunity for everyone to check out the NoMAA exhibitions at the Hispanic Society Museum, Mariqua College, and Audubon Terrace. All three are on through August 15th during regular business hours. Also, it's July 4th weekend, and on Sunday at 3:30 p.m., Harlem jazz legend Marjorie Elliott performs live. Meantime, at 6 p.m., the Sam Taylor Trio live in person at the Grange on West 141st Street in Amsterdam Avenue. On Monday, July 5th, the amazing Emmett Cohen on piano on Facebook Live, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m., live from Emmett's Place in West Harlem. And this is a great time to, if you haven't, sign up and receive NoMAA's newsletter and to check out our events calendar at nomanyc.org. Finally, thanks to everyone. Over 3,000 people watched the Moth main stage at the United Palace last night, and over 2,500 people viewed Victor Rosso live at the Dyckman Farmhouse last Monday. Our thank you to all the artists, arts organizations, sponsors, community residents, supporters, and everyone on this Zoom and Facebook Live this evening. Thank you for making the 19th Uptown Art Stroll successful. We invite you to join us next week, Thursday, July 8th at 7:30 p.m. for award-winning artist and 2014 Uptown Art Stroll honoree Sky Pape on Thursdays with NoMAA. That's 7:30 p.m. next Thursday, July 8th. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening, and have a great weekend.
Thank you all.
Thank you.